All right, let's do the 3-point check. Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch. All right. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Thor's Day here in ORKTOBER. It is I, Christian from the Eternal Chronicles. How's everybody doing out there in the land of the YouTubans? Yeah, it's Thursday, and I've been working away at these orcs, and we are at the point where the bases on most of them are to the point where all they need is to be rimmed. Paint the base rim, take the victory lap, frame the painting, as it were, and a good number of other ones are at various stages of having their bases completed. For the most part, the models are done. They're painted. There's a few little touch-ups that I've been doing here and there. I did some last night, did some this morning, so they're and finished the bases. Redid the way I was doing the bases. If you watched older streams from last week, or no, it was earlier this week, based on the art trend, I tried to use some weathering pigments, and I just wasn't happy with A, how I was doing it, and B, the results I was getting, and just generally wanted something a little bit simpler. So I went with a different process for doing the bases, and I'm going to show you that today. In terms of doing the rust on the junk that's sort of on the ground, I took a different approach, which sort of got me the same results, and that's just a testament to my skill and mastery of the base painting arts. Over here in the galleries, we've got some pages. Oh, these are woefully out of date. That one. Anyways, that's odd because I'm sure I updated it. But so these are pages from the old catalog. So in this case, it's the 1991 blue catalog, Citadel miniature catalog. And a big shout out to Stuff of Legends, Orc Lord. Richard, I think is his first name, who runs the Stuff of Legends, which is basically just an online repository of Citadel publications documenting all the miniature catalogs, plus adverts in White Dwarf magazines, plus mail order flyers, plus any sort of other resource that would show you pictures of the miniatures. And for guys like me who love to collect older stuff, that website is an amazing resource, as well as there is a collecting Citadel wiki out there that is also another really great resource for trying to find information on old models. And in this case, with the, I don't know why it's stuck on Gretchen. Let's move along here. Here we go. Here's some freebooters. You know, I can probably make this a little bit bigger. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. I'm like a professional YouTuber now. So this is just sort, and these are all, this is out of date because I actually have this model. Isn't that weird? Because I'm sure I updated all of these. I don't know. It's one of those things when you're working with MS Paint, you know, the greatest piece of software, and all I'm doing is just crossing off the ones that I have so that I know which ones I need. And so when I'm out looking, or when opportunities knock to add these things to my collection, I know I have a resource, and I have this also on my phone. So I have a resource basically letting me know which models I do own and don't own. And again, if you're a collector of old school models, stuffoflegends.com, pretty sure it's .com. Just search Stuff of Legends or Citadel Stuff of Legends, or even search the Citadel Collecting Citadel Miniatures Wiki, CCM, Collecting Citadel Miniatures Wiki, because that'll link all to that. And it's just those resources that you need to know why is the slideshow not playing? There we go. So here's some orc boys. So yeah, and you'll see on here there are two of these orc musicians. Let's go to the slideshow. Oh, it's the same size. God, what an amateur, eh? So you can see these two orc musicians. There's actually a third one with a bare head that is one of the most rare Rogue Trader, like early Rogue Trader models. He's really, really hard to find, and he goes for like 5-6 times what these other musicians would go for. So, and he's one of these. He's got a bare head, and he's got his mouth wide open. He's yelling. I think he's called Braglub or something. Anyways, he's a renowned model, and as you can see, he is not listed here in the catalog because you couldn't order him. He was only available in the initial blister run for the initial production run for when they did these Ork Boy commands, which were some of the earliest additional Ork Boys over and above the Space Ork Raiders. Oh yeah, this is all way out of date. I have like most of the models on this page now. Anyways, well, I'll have to go back and this one's accurate. I am only missing one of the heavy Ork Boys, and I have one of each of the weapons, although I haven't used the flamer on a model. Instead, I've been using las cannons and plasmas and this here is Space Ork Raider, so I actually own all these models on this page too. So these three at the top, they're the three characters, plus the heavy bolter, plus the 4 boys. I own all of that. So these are out of date and will need to be updated, but that's very exciting for you guys, I'm sure. Same thing with the biker. So here's something interesting. This biker, so there's two barehead biker torsos, the basic biker torso, the one with the chain sword, and there's 2 with helmets. The second one with a helmet is hard to find because they pulled it. As far as I know, they pulled it. He was available in the first blister run, and then he wasn't available anymore. And the reason why is he has a swastika necklace. That's a urban legend I heard. I don't know how true that is, but in all my time searching for old Warbike models, this one with this, I've only ever seen one on eBay, and it was in a big lot with a bunch of other stuff, and I wasn't about to buy all that other junk for that one. But generally, I've only ever seen the bareheaded with the goggles and the helmeted one, which I have 2 copies of. So I'd love to get this one with the swastika necklace, only because, for completion's sake. I don't know what other reason there would be. So some orc bosses. So again, I just sort of went through, ticked off the ones I have. I actually have these 2 down here at the bottom, the snake bite and the goth. I have those 2 as well. And this one up here, you can't even see because I'm circling with my, but the one up in the far corner, the Bad Moon boss, he is one of my favorite orc models of all time, and I have him. And that'll be either a future ORKTOBER project or a Decembork project or a Novembork project. We'll see. We'll see once I get all this done. Like I said, I'm going to take a break from painting orcs next week. I'm going to paint some other stuff. And then I'm going to go probably back and finish up some orc stuff for this army so that it's done. Because it's done right now. The bulk of the infantry is done. There's a few models hither and dither that need to be painted, but I don't think that'll take me too much time. Yeah, and speaking of orc armies that be done, why don't we go over and take a look at... Hey, look, it's my lovely table, and look at the glorious, beautiful condition it's in this morning. Maybe my red dot is needing some love here. It may need to be replaced. I actually glued it down because it was no longer sticking. But as you can see, I've got a bit of orange going on because I was doing some rust on the bases. So I'll show you what ended up with the bases, and then I'm going to show you how I did it. So we'll just grab a few of these boys here, and I'll drop them down, and then we'll take a quick look at the bases. So this guy's a good example. So how did I do that? Well, it's a good question to ask. How did I do the rust on that base? I used a Vallejo technical paint called Dry Rust, and it goes on like a wash. I'll show you that in a minute. It literally goes on like a wash, but when it dries very flat, and it has kind of a weird, when it dries, it almost dries chalky, like it has a bit of a texture in it, which is great because then what you can then do is then I take either one of these oranges and then even a little bit of the rust red, and stipple dry brush it on, and you can see that's basically what I've done here to make that look rusty and stuff. I still haven't figured out foliage yet for these guys. I do want to put some foliage on their bases. I just have to figure out what that's going to look like. I'll show you another couple examples of just finished. And then so once that was dry and the stippling with the orange and red was dry, I then dry brushed the entire base over again with the desert sand, which was my top light shade for the base, just to unify it all, and also to dry brush over this, because if you leave it without sort of like a buff roughness to it, it doesn't really, it stands out a little bit too much, and this extra little bit of buff on it just helps it to blend in with the base, because it wouldn't be, the rusty stuff wouldn't exist in isolation, it would be affected by the weathering of the ground too. And you can see I've done there as well. Let's grab another couple where I think it looks pretty good. Oh, this guy's, yeah, so this guy's just got one little bit. And again, it just helps to add to the base, and I think definitely going to need some foliage to make them look as natural as possible, because I do like natural bases, even though these are old Rogue Trader models. And I could have just done Rogue Trader style bases for them, which could have been as simple as, you know, a lot of people say, oh, well, you're doing old school bases, they got to be Goblin Green with, you know, green on the top and stuff. Well, not necessarily for 40k. 40k, the bases in 40k, in early 40k, early Rogue Trader, you look at them, most of them are black rimmed, and they've got like something on them. Like I said, I sort of wanted to do, I might do some sort of alien foliage. I know that Gamer Grass makes a few like alienish colors. Oh, here's a good, here's old Fritz, the mech boy. He's got a big old pile of junk on his base. And yeah, I mean, just adding a little bit of vegetation will help greatly on that. And then I will show you my track, which I can show you some basing potentially later. So I've put some junk on here, like he's driving in between it, but he's going to just roll right over it. He doesn't care. He's a track. And then I got the goblins, so I've got the crew still to finish for the track. And right now, what I'll do is we'll pop this down, and I will show you. So here's where I've got some of the watch glitter rubble, and then back here there's another little tiny piece of it here. So I'm going to throw down some of this dry rust, and I don't put it on my wet palette because I find that it's very, very watery anyways. So I'll put it on this piece of plastic card here, and we'll just drop some of it down. You can even hear it. It's a little sandy. So, and I'll just make sure I miss the mushroom here, because that's going to have to be painted as well. And then this, and you'll see it literally goes on like a wash. So easy peasy. And just make sure you get it over all the stuff. And I'm not too worried about getting it on the rubble. That's not really a mighty concern, because rust does tend to, when it oxidizes, it'll fall and it'll sort of corrupt your surrounding area. And also on top of this, I'm going to be dry brushing over it again, so it'll all work out. So there we go. So we've got some rust on there, and the thicker you put it on, the more brown it's going to dry. It's a cool little technical thing. I don't know what it. I don't see the sand in it, so I don't see any micro beads in it. But when it does dry, it definitely has a tiny bit of a texture to it. I'm just going to spread this around, so that'll be fine. Once we dry brush that, it'll be perfecto. So you can see that the back there. We'll throw a bit more on, and that's that. I can do one more for you. This obviously has not been. This is who we were talking about yesterday. Oh yeah, there's my war boss. He still doesn't have a name. So if you're out there in the chat and you want to give him a name, let me know, and I'll see what I can figure out. I want something like, I want him to have a military title. So he's got to be like a field marshal or some kind of, he needs some kind of ridiculous rank. According to his shoulder here, he's a warrant officer of some kind. He's at least a sergeant, but this little diddy bop up here at the top might mean he's a warrant officer. Promoted to lead the entire army is the warrant officer, and maybe that's part of his backstory too. Maybe he was just a knob, and he was elevated in some way. Maybe the previous war boss was assassinated. I don't know, and this guy was elevated to that position as the puppet, because we all know who the real brains are, right? It's Fritz. That's right, Fritz the mech boy. Fritz the old mech boy. He's the one who's really running the show. So yeah, what I'll do is I'm gonna do a bit of work on my war boss's base for you. So it's been primed, and I think we were discussing. Someone made a comment that he should be yellow, And so I think I might do something yellowish. I'm going to have to figure out how I can make it so that it stands out better from the base, because the base is going to be very brown and like buff, like deserty, right? So might do something where he kind of like camouflages in, so you almost have to look for him. But anyways, I'm going to grab my Agrellan Earth, which is the Crackle medium one. And I'm just going to start a little bit of water. Water down just a little bit. However, if you water down Crackle medium, it kind of makes it less crackly. But that's fine, because really what I want to do is I want to cover up the top of the little plateaus he's standing on. And I will go over this. May require a few coats to get it the way I want in terms of thickness. But I'm also using this to actually just paint the model, which is why watering it down is fine, because it tends to be fairly thick. The key here is to get it to make sure that it matches the rest of my bases. So put it thin where it can be thin, because all I want to do is basically just provide coverage, and then I'll put it on thick where I actually want crackle to show up. Now I've looking at this base, I've decided I'm not going to use any or very much of the Agrellan Earth, which is the one with the micro beads in it, just because he is kind of standing on a large rocky outcropping anyways, and I'd rather have more crackle on that than anything else. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel when I get to the point where I'm finishing painting this base. Is this? There we go. Maybe that's a little bit better for you. So yeah, so this has been almost the whole month of October. Tomorrow is going to be the last painting day show, and then Saturday, my Saturday show is going to be me building an army list for this army. So that'll go down Saturday morning, and I invite you all to come and watch me go through Here We Go and try and build an army list. For these guys, I want to put this on here, but I want to be really careful not to get any on the little squiggly beast there. Yeah. Let's just get underneath here. I don't know if you can even see. You know what? I'll pop them off this. I don't mind holding the top of this thing there. It's pretty much all cured here. So just add some water to water it down, because really what you want to do is just get it in there so that and you don't really care if it crackles along the thing there. You just want paint on the model. And it's all going to be washed with that Agrax Earth shade anyways, right? Yep. So not much activity in the chat. I see Inquisitor Shavax in the chat. Michelangelo syndrome. That was from the top of the show. Top of the morning to you. Top of the afternoon. I guess this is the lunchtime. I'm not sure how many more lunchtime ones. I might switch to a different schedule. It might end up being later in the day. Even the evening. Even the early morning. Let's do it. Let's do it 9 a.m. What do you think? Yeah, I'm just trying to get as much paint sort of in between here as possible. Throw down some of the stuff. This is, if it's watered down, it's fine, because again, we're just putting it on to cover up the cork. Base over top of that. Something like that. And then where I actually want crackle medium, I'll throw it down a little bit thicker, and we'll see how that turns out when it's all said and done. Put a big blob of crackle up top here. Make sure that it's even. You get better crackles if it's evenly spread as well. I find if you have like lumps of it sitting in places and not, it won't all crackle nice and evenly. So I definitely recommend that if you're going to use crackle medium, make sure that you spread it out. So we'll see. Looks pretty good. There's a few little places that I'm going to try and reach into right now, just beside this foot. And again, I didn't see it till I looked over at the screen, and then I was able to see it. Just basically like right there. Yep. Maybe a little bit back there. Yep. And then I'm going to put some crackle right there on the front. Yep. All right, let's put him down. And I can continue to show you this basing stuff because I've got to do my war track and my hop splat and my crew. So in this case, I am going to use the Badlands, and I'll put the Badlands down first. I usually put the Badlands down first, let it completely, or not completely cure, but mostly dry, because it does take about 24 hours to actually get your like desired effect with crackle medium and with this stuff. So see, I've got a big bloop of it here on a crappy old cack brush, and I'm just going to push it in where I want it. I'm not too concerned. I usually put them around anything that sticks up so that it helps to blend in, because the wind will have blown stuff into it, and it won't be the stuff that you have sitting up won't be sitting there sort of independent of any sort of sediment around it or whatever. I don't know, that just seems natural to me. Especially like the little piles of rubble, they would have, you know, stuff built up around them. So for sure, like grab a nice big blob of it on the end of a spoon, grab a nice big blob of it on the end of a spoon, and no, we'll push that in there and whatnot. It actually, a little bit of water, and then it will just all sort of like fall into place, and you'll get some nice coverage there. Yeah, this stuff is, I like it. I know that there are like other brands and other versions out there. I like the GW stuff. It mainly because of the color. It worked out really well for doing my Realm of Beasts, which is where I first sort of started using this for my Age of Sigmar orcs, my Iron Jaws. Man, so many orcs. So many orcs. So, but ORKTOBER is almost over. You guys sad? You guys sad that ORKTOBER is leaving us, or are you relieved? Some of you are done, I know, to finish your ORKTOBER stuff. For me, ORKTOBER is always right now. Oh, and I've got put some rubbly back here too. Now I'm not going to go like all the way underneath. I'm going to kind of create a little barrier with some of this, which means that, heaven forbid, you look at the model from the right angle, you'll see that it's not really based in between the tracks. I am going in about a centimeter or so, trying to put some, you can kind of see, yeah. But know ye now that if this model were to ever come off the base, you'd see a big empty spot. Oh, woe is me. There we go. And then same thing around the front here. I'm just going to push a little bit of this around so that it works out better, and we'll go in this way to create the illusion that, hey, that base is fully based, isn't it? Right. And then over here. Now I've left some parts bare. It's deliberate because I'm going to go in there with the crackle medium and hit those places with it. And the crackle medium tends to crack evenly and better when it's over a smooth surface. Putting even like one of those little micro beads in there can sort of mess up the whole cracky pattern, and you get something funny looking. But funny's fine because it's generally looks natural anyways. So yeah, so we got some hop splat gun here. Let's dig this model. And what's funny is that I don't even know if I want to use the hop splat gun in this army. I'm only using it because it's a model of the age. Because it's from the era that all these guys were generally out in, which is like early Rogue Trader. So that's why I'm preferring. Why I'm all about the hop splat. The thing about blood axes is that they can buy Imperial things for half price. So this is 50 points. For 25 points, I can get a thud gun. So this was going to be, and it may still end up getting based up. It's going to get based up regardless, but I don't think I'm going to make it specific to this army, because I think I'm going to just sort of have it as like this thud gun that, you know, any particular faction in my Rogue Trader campaign could potentially field at any time. So it could be, you know, an orc weapon for a time. They could steal it and loot it or whatever, or it could be belonging to some human mercenaries or whatever else happens to show up on Logan's World. All right, so we'll go with that. You can see that I've got the. I think I talked about this before. I hinged the wheels and then pinned the wheels down so that this could pivot up and down, so that it can actually be. So it can actually be trailer hitched to the war track there. So when it deploys, it just pops down. Otherwise, it pops up. We'll leave it up for now so that the stuff can dry. Let's put all that up there once it's been done. Now it's just grots. Down to grots. Woo! So again, I'm gonna put it. I put the thick stuff on to sort of cover up any of the base tab that might be poking through. Generally, the crackle medium will go right over that too, and you won't really see it. But I like to put some of this grit in there because I find that it helps to fill in those gaps. And that's just, you know, cheating, right? Not really. All right. Look at these poor little grots in their iron onesies. I mean, considering that these grots, their runt master is this guy, who's clearly not a very nice runt master. He's not very nice to his snots, as you can see on the back here. He collects their heads, so you can see why these guys are kind of all bummed out, right? They're like, yeah, we work for that guy. We could have worked for a nice runt herder who treated us nicely. There's some funny lore in one of the books about like runt herders, that they tend to become the outcast runts, the runt herders. So like the freebooter runt herders, essentially it's because they were too nice to their grots that they usually got outcast from their clan. Because they got too attached to grots, so they weren't willing to like sell and sacrifice grots. So it's kind of funny. And sad at the same time, right? There we go, I like that. Go with that, and then one more, and then we're done that, and I will show you something else. Just gonna get some more of this for this little grotty here. See, I like this microbead texture because it goes down very randomly and it looks very natural. It looks, and it's scaled a little bit better. Even the like finest ballast would be larger than these microbeads. So I kind of I like using it for this sort of thing, and it makes a good like earthy, badlandsy texture, right? I guess that's why they call it Badlands. Good job, Games Workshop. You cracked the code. I have no idea what that orange thing in there is, but I'm just going to cover it with this. Clean that up. And I'm good with that. All right. So, that is that. We are going to now go back to the Commissar and see how the rust has dried. And you can see it's kind of dried, a little bit caked, very flat. I put it on thick, so it's darker than like a normal brown. And back here, so now I'm going to do a little tiny bit of dry brushing on it. And yeah, okay. So this is volcanic orange. This is a very bright orange. I like it, but it's a little thin. So I find that what I'll do is I'll put down a little bit of this orange, which is actually, I think, called rust orange. It's some kind of orange. God, I can't even read that. Something. Doesn't matter. I don't know. Flamestorm orange. Anyways, it's a fairly bright orange. And you'll see this volcanic orange is a little bit darker. And then I have a brush that I was using to stipple with. And it's kind of like half stippling, half dry brush. I just want to make sure that it's quite dry. So you can see it's an old Winsor Newton Series 7 that has been chopped down to make a nice stipply brush. So I'm going to take some of this dark and some of this light, and I'm going to kind of like that so that it's on there, and then I'm going to come over to here and I'm just going to push it in. And kind of a dry brush, but at the same time kind of a stipple, right? You want it to go on nice and thick. So there you go, you see that? And then we'll go and we'll do the same thing on this little guy back here. This one, you want to make sure that you get the whatchamacallit, the little gears coming off. So you can see what I mean when I say that it kind of what was I saying? Oh, that it stands out a bit right now because it's just the rust on it. I think it looks really good, you know, and that's really simple, and that took almost no time. Just make sure I get a little bit there and there. Yeah, that's better. And yeah, that literally took no time whatsoever. So that's a lot faster and easier than the pigments would have been. The pigments would have been messy and all over the place, and I'm not a fan. Generally, I like to stick to my water-based acrylics. I have friends that use oils for weathering and things like that, and it just seems like too much work to me. You know? So now what am I going to do? Well, now I've got my desert sand here, and I'm going to dry brush a bit of that desert sand. Sorry, where'd that? I'm going to dry brush that desert sand over top of these. And essentially I'm going to probably end up redoing the entire base because it just helps to give it another added level of contrast. Because I did do a desert sand before, but that will blend in with the desert stone underneath a little bit better. And so to make the base really pop and stand out, just throw down one more final layer. I did it on all the orcs after I did the rust. I went back and and went back over the entire base with the sand, just to make sure that you're catching all those little bits that you want. It's not too dark because, again, once it dries, you know, it tends to darken up. So, so judging your dry brushing usually has to be done after something is has sat for a bit, and all the paints and all the pigments have had a chance to settle together and do whatever they do, right? But you can see it definitely makes a difference. You can look in the front, and then you can look at the back, like picking out that little thing there. It definitely makes a difference to then go back over everything again. And the one thing that will have to be finished on this is I do have to finish the tires, so I can do that. I was waiting to basically finish the base before I painted the tires. Go around here, and back there. Just a bit more on top of this stuff to buff it out a bit. And there we go. And I'm actually going to take just a tiny bit of this stipple and throw it back on there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, we'll call that one done. I got to still finish the mushroom on that, but other than that, that is done. So both your dry brush and your stipple brush, I usually will clean them. And when I do, I clean them with soap, whereas like other brushes may not get soap every time I switch, you know, but definitely with a dry brush, or a stippling brush, because they're essentially being used with dry paint, the paint will stick on and adhere to the bristles. So to keep a good stipple brush or a good dry brush in decent condition, I use some brush soap and help clean that off. Because you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at how much comes off. All right. All right, what are we going to do now? Well, what can we do? Oh my goodness, so much. We can look at all these. Oh, I got to do that too. Oh man, you keep seeing like little things that you miss, which is good because again, that's what I kind of like being at the finishing touch phase, where I'll pick up each model and I'll just sort of look and say, okay, well, what needs to be sort of made better. Like looking at this guy, the little hose that he's got here needs to be made better. To me, it just looks kind of meh. So I'm actually going to just take some dark tone ink, and this will be a thing that I do where I'll just go over it with ink, different types of inks. And so I look at this and I go, ugh, that was obviously could have been better. So I'm just going to put some ink in between here to help pull out those the hose a bit better. There. And then I'll look at the rest of the model and I'll go, what else could, you know, oh, well, here we go. The little buttons on the end of here definitely need something, and he's got a little button there. Not a button, but a spike. And then I look up here and I go, okay, well, that needs to be highlighted. So if I've got some silver lying around, which I do, or even some gunmetal. All right. Paper towel. And then just across the top. There. Boom. Like that. There we go. So, and then I'll put him over here. So that I know he sort of had a little bit of extra attention. I've already done these guys, most of them once already. Just sort of going over them. And then once all that is done and I base rim them, then I can matte varnish them. So yeah, see, I did a lot of the metals on these guys already once, but just adding like little flares to help the details show up better. Because again, you're painting models that are generally going to be looked at from, on average, about 2 to 3 feet away. All right, so you want them to pop, which is why, you know, people paint very brightly in a lot of ways because it tends to attract the eye. I'm more of a muted painter myself, but I'm just going to put... It depends what I'm painting, but I tend to go with more natural, earthy tones. It's just what I like. I likes what I likes, you know? This guy has ridiculous golden pants. So, not a lot of activity in the chat today. Not a lot of people watching today, actually. That's fine. Just remember, none of this is actually for you. What a terrible thing to say. There we go. Maybe do something with his little shoulder pad here. He's got a little badge on it. He's part of some special boat service. Harvey Keitel was originally cast in Heart of Darkness, Apocalypse Now. He was the Charlie Sheen character. Named Winters? No. Is it Winters? Anyways. Yeah, he was originally Harvey Keitel. And apparently Coppola didn't think he was right for it in the end. And also didn't think people would be sympathetic to the actor. And you want someone to be, especially in that role, they have to sort of be your eyes into the world, because Charlie Sheen's character in that movie is like a passive observer. Like, he doesn't have a lot of lines. I mean, he's got a few, and mostly he's reacting, right? Mostly he's reacting to the chaos around him. So, and I don't think that I don't know. Anyways, just go look it up on something. There's even like some footage on the Hearts of Darkness DVD of like Harvey Keitel's, a few of the scenes that they had actually shot, because I think they were only they were less than a week into shooting when they decided to recast. But that's a fantastic movie. And it's one of the most often misquoted and quoted movies, and misquoted, I guess. Yeah. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. What else? Never get off the boat. Never get off the boat. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen is the son. It's Martin Sheen. Sorry, did I say Charlie Sheen? Martin Sheen. His father. Who probably had tiger blood. Fucking tigers, man. Fucking tigers. Great movie. So I'm just kind of taking my silver here and adding some extra highlights to the weapons and metal on them to make it stand out a bit better. This guy's little helmet. I think I originally had that helmet as like a little red helmet, and then I decided to repaint it. And he's got what appears to be a Crimson Fist sergeant head on a stick. Head on a stick, head on a stick. Come get your head on a stick. There we go. Just adding little contrasts here and there to try and clean things up. You don't have to do this step. I mean, really, I'm doing this for my own edifice, for just so that I can feel like I put in the work on these guys that they deserved. So, here, that should be a little bit more, so that it stands out a little bit better. There we go. Oh, another thing I'll have to do before I matte seal any of them is I'll have to figure out which ones, if any, I'm going to put decals on. Because do have decals that will work. Decals that'll probably fit like in this space here on his shoulder pad. Definitely my war boss is gonna get some on that big giant red shoulder pad that he's got going on. There we go. Again, don't ask me why, like, what I'm specifically looking for. I'm just looking for places where the shadows may not be as well defined as you would like. And then why is this? Again, and then things like his little stick bomb here. Throw some wash down on that to help that stand out. Okay. Yeah, we'll put that over there. All right. So these guys are basically, I mean, they're at the point now where I just need to take that victory lap and finish those bases. So I'll do a few for you just because it's probably not that exciting. But Robert Duvall was in every third movie ever made in the 70s. Yeah, probably in the 70s he was in quite a few. So this is flat black, some, if you can read the label, which you can't. But it's a nice Reaper. Now I could use Army Painter flat black, because really, what's the difference? But this one goes on nice and flat and dries nice and flat. I'll probably need 2 coats per dude. But I'll do 1 rim. I'll go whoosh, take 1 victory lap, and then I'll take another victory lap. So I'm using a fairly decent brush to do it, actually. This is a Winsor Newton size 4 miniature. Good brush. But since all I'm doing is basically picking up this model and victory lap. Oh, it feels so good to do this. This is sort of what you do when you say, this model is finished to the point where I am now proud to put him on the table and have him probably get killed by a Space Marine. There's one. I'll find a special place to put them so that they don't leave ring marks on my... not that my desk isn't already a disaster here, as you can see. There we go. There's 2. All right, I'll do 1 more for you on camera because this is, I know, very exciting. I'll just keep going. It doesn't matter. You know what? Maybe you deserve to watch me rim all my bases. Huh? You ever think of that? There we go. Look at that. Woo! Makes them look nice and sharp. I like the black rim on the bases. The other option was to do like Terra, which is like this brown, so this earth brown. But I think black is a more Rogue Trader-ish appropriate color for this. And it helps make the base surface just stand out so much better. So the oddest color I ever did a base rim would probably actually be for my Necromunda Escher. I did their base rims in like Space Wolf gray, so it was like this very blue gray. And I don't know why, but I thought it looked cool at the time, and I still like it. It sort of like helps me identify, like, those are my Necromunda models because their base rims are bluish gray. Weird. But anyways. And my new Escher are black. Black rimmed bases. So got a Richie Valens song stuck in my head. Oh, Donna, oh, Donna, I had a girl, and Donna was her name. Since she left me, things haven't been the same. 'Cause I love my girl, Donna. Oh, where can you be? Where can you be? Oh, Donna. Oh. Bet you didn't know I could do that, eh? Bet you didn't want to know that I could do that. Man. Well, alright. So let's go take a look at... I figure that's enough of you watching me give my orcs rim jobs. Ba-dum-bum. Rim shot. There we go. Let's look at my war boss so we can see the crackle coming along a little bit. You can see it crackling up there at the corner. Looks good. You can see it crackling a bit there. And then across the front here, in front of the little squig, and then in front of his feet, there's a little bit more crackly crackle. So I'm liking how that's coming along. I can put crackle now down onto these, because like I said, I let this almost dry, and then we'll grab the Agrellan Earth, which is the crackly medium, and throw that in there. And we'll throw some down. And again, you want to keep it thick, and just kind of plop it down, and then move it around where you want it. And it's not a science, it's an art. And I'm just putting some of this over the, even though I'm going to paint over that, but that'll be good for, alright. Oh, you know where I need some? Yeah, give it up. Is right here on this, so we'll go over the top first. The crackle, crackly, crackly, and then add a tiny drop of water just to get it to soak into the sides here. There we go. Put that down, let that dry. Grab our hop splat gun here. Same sort of thing. Get it out and get it on. So I don't know. Do you think my bases are worth all this effort? Because it's a lot of extra go at. Because I mean, even now, these things are going to need to be washed and. You know, I could just paint them goblin green and put some green flock on top. Right? That's all I needed to do. Really. That's the way my original 4th edition Orc and Goblin army was based. And then I updated the bases for 6th edition, obviously, because it's such a... But I kept the goblin green rims. I kept the rims goblin green. Throughout. So the rims on my Orc and Goblin army, even if you look at this at the new stuff I've painted, I kept that goblin green. Maybe I can dig something out for you. I don't know. I'll have to see. Where's that? No. Is that my hair? No. It's funny how much of the well, here's some models with goblin green bases. This is a different type of goblin. So this is This is rimmed goblin green. So this is from my original Eldar army. So my original Rogue Trader / second edition Eldar army. Which also had their bases updated. And when I updated their bases, I actually repainted the rims on them that Terra. So I like that color now, the whole base. But this is woodland green, and then dry brushed with goblin green, and then rimmed with goblin green. Easy peasy. So that's a little... Look at that, back when I could do freehand. Oh, my buddy Bruce gave me some bases that we were digging around in his bits box, and I was like, dude, these are amazing. You got to do something with them. He's like, well, I'm not. Do you want them? I'm like, I do. So he gave me this. I don't know if I showed this off already, but this is awesome. So I'm going to put something on here, probably a goblin or probably an orc. And then he gave me one that was a bit more WIP, a little bit more work in progress, but you can see that he's built it up over a 25 mil base, and it's sand and all kinds of cool stuff, and little mushrooms hanging off the side there. So I'm gonna put something on that, probably an orc or a goblin, maybe an elf. Maybe I'll put an elf on that. Oh, you know what I could do? Well, that might be interesting. You know how, like, things just sort of come to you while you're sitting there and you go, wait a second here. Oh no, is this another elf appearing during the month of ORKTOBER? Well, it's the same elf. So this is my Wood Elf champion, Wood Elf hero on a giant eagle. And you know, I'm thinking now that this base might be perfect for this. It's hard to see, but I'm thinking. That's an idea I will explore in Elf month, whatever Elf month is. What month is Elf month? Well, December. It's the month of Christmas, right? Yes, bases are worth it. Yes. I always like to go above and beyond on the bases. It's at least for the last decade, doing extra special bases has kind of been my jam. Got to do the gratis. So I'm, and like I said, like I kind of wanted to do these models period accurate. But when it comes to the bases, it's got to be something good, right? They've got to have that extra bit of awesomeness to them, which I think these will have. When all is said and done and the whole army is together, and after the Saturday show, I'm going to be... I might actually do it tomorrow night, because that way I have the photos done for the Saturday show. Oh, that's an even better idea. Okay, so tomorrow night, or tomorrow after my stream, because I need these lights for it, I'm going to set up my studio table and take some pictures of this army, because hopefully, if I keep plugging away at it, these bases will all be done, and the army will basically be ready to be photographed. And then that way I will actually have photographs for the Saturday show for when I build my army list. Hey, what a great idea. I'm glad I thought of it. You're a genius, Christian. Thank you, Christian. All right. It's garrote o'clock somewhere. Anything else to do? Well, let's take a look at my leader base one last time. Yep, looking good. Looking good. All right. Wow. Really, all I have left to do at this point is the base rims. So this is very exciting for you guys, right? But it is 1 p.m. I do have... Let's see. What else can I possibly ponder with you today? Well, we can look at some miniatures. We can go back to talking about those these catalog pages. Which, again, second time this episode, shouting out to Stuff of Legends, Orc Lord over there, who's got the... who just has like this massive repository. So go to the Stuff of Legends or the CCM Collecting Citadel Miniatures wiki, and you can look at that. And you can find old catalogs, and there's stuff that they say is uncatalogued, but or there are uncatalogued things, but sometimes you find them in like a corner of a catalog, and you're like, it's weird because so not all models that were available for GW mail order were always available all the time, right? Generally, here's a good example. So when they first released the Orc crossbows, which were very late 3rd edition models to come out, I could give it to her, yeah. You're talking about the bases? What are we talking about? What was I talking about? Oh, so of those crossbow boys, there were 9 released, right? 5 and 4. When they came time to put them in the catalog, there were only 8. So one of them disappeared, right? It was part of the initial release. They were packed into blisters, but they weren't ever available through mail order. So there are things that were only ever available through blisters, and there are also things that were only ever available through mail order. Mostly one way or the other, right? Or mostly both, whatever. So there are the occasional rare model, like I said, like that orc musician. What's his name? Buglub. No, I'm like talking at the camera and realize all you're looking at is Pain Boys. Well, that's dull. And Mech Boys. I actually have. Yeah, see, this is out of date. I've got more Mech Boys than that. I've got a runt bot, even though this says I don't have a runt bot, and I have a shock attack gun, even though it says I don't. Same thing with these runts. I have all these squigs. I don't know why these squigs are not marked off. Oh, I think I was just marking off the runts. I didn't actually go through all my squigs because I have a lot of squigs. The problem is that all my squigs are like in giant bags filled with snotlings, so it's like I have to pick through all the snotlings to find the squigs. And the runt herders, I have a couple of runt herders. Not going to have a great deal of runt herding. I'm going to have rogue runt herders for my freebooters, and again, that is where I'm going to go with the orcs next. So I've got the army, which is the blood axes, and then all the little things that I can sort of throw in, which will be the freebooters and chaos renegades and whatever else we decide to chase whimsy on. And I have like 9 Gretchen, and that's for tomorrow. I don't want to give it away, but I'm going to paint something on stream tomorrow. That'll be fun. Unlike today, where you got to watch me base things, right? Let's go back over here, and you can watch me rim some more bases. Hey, this will be exciting. You can watch me rim the base on this guy. Yeah, very exciting stuff. So, but such is getting down to the wire here of getting things done. I didn't think I was going to do it, but then once I took, the vehicles out, then it became a much more manageable task. It's still like 30-something orc boys painted this month. And other things. There we go. Boop, boop, boop. Let's put that somewhere where he's not going to get paint on anything. There we go. All right. So I think I'm going to cut the show a little bit early today. Tomorrow will be a big show because that's going to be the last day of painting for... I almost gave it away. I almost gave away what tomorrow's going to be. I almost said something. But for today, it's still ORKTOBER. And tomorrow will be ORKTOBER, and then Saturday will be the last ORKTOBER show. Because... Sunday is the 1st of November, and that'll be a whole other thing, right? And I'm just going to say thank you. Thankfully, this month is only 31 days long. Not that I don't love painting orcs, but it's one of the reasons why I don't do commissions or paint for other people generally. is because I don't want to be painting to a deadline. You know, this was fun because it's October and it should be celebrated as a month of awesomeness. Yeah, freebootas. So I'm missing several of these. That whole bottom row. Unless one of those... No, I have the Gene Steele, yeah. So that whole bottom row I don't have. And then there's a couple of the boys that I don't have. And I don't have the mech boy, the renegade mech boy. But I do have the pain doc, the pain boss. So... But anyways, I'm sure this is all very exciting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off. So for yet another day, short one today again. Sorry, I'm just busy life. I'll try and do. I'll make sure we get 2 hours in tomorrow, because I'm going to need it for what I want to do tomorrow for you guys. I'm definitely going to need the time. So all right, so that's it. I'm Christian for the Eternal Chronicles. Thank you very much for watching my stream. I hope you enjoyed ORKTOBER so far. We've only got one official painting day left, and then Saturday we'll be actually trying to make an army out of all this stuff that I painted, which will be entertaining, I hope. At least it'll be entertaining for me. So yeah, that's about it. And I'm just gonna say doot doot loot. No, that's not my sign off. That was my sign off. Go see you back here tomorrow. Same work time, same work channel. Peace out. See you on the flippity flop. May your enemies always be of weak blood. I don't know what that means, but yeah. So